Everyone likes to talk about how smart their kid is. How dumb is yours? I had a car with a cigarette lighter that was never used because I don't smoke. My teenage son asked what it was, and I explained how it works. I left the card for a minute to drop something off at a friend's, and when I returned he had an odd expression and was really quiet. He told me he heated the lighter and stuck his finger in it, not once, but twice, because the first time he did it, it didn't hurt, so he thought I made it all up. Poor finger grew a blister that day. My girlfriend did this and she's 30. Fully tear cried. I assume out of embarrassment and not physical pain. My 3-year-old daughter told me the other night that her favorite animals are unicorns, moths, and the ocean. My 13-year-old couldn't understand why hiding a popsicle in his bed was a bad idea. LMAO 13 is a bit old to be doing something that foolish, no? You would think, but you would be wrong. Teens are weird. Sometimes they are scarily competent and sometimes they aren't. As a teen, can confirm some of us are dumbuses and some are Einsteins. As a former teen, trust me, this doesn't change later on. Sadly. When my uncle was a kid, he bought my grandma an ice cream sandwich during lunch at school. He wrote her a cute little note, I think it was Mother's Day, and put the ice cream in his backpack for the rest of the afternoon. He was devastated when he got home and realized it had melted and ruined everything in his backpack. He gave my grandma a big sticky mess for Mother's Day, and she loved it so much that I found that little note in her piano bench 50 years later. My grandma was the best. He loves pizza. As long as I tell him what we are eating is pizza, he'll eat it. Vegetables? Call it pizza. Chicken nuggets? Call it pizza. Literally anything. He screams yay pizza. And eats it. He's 2. I tell mine, who have decided they don't like fish, it's chicken. Works every time. My mom did this with my sister, though called it chicken fish, and she would wolf it down every time. Finally clicked when she was 17, when she was eating chicken fish, and said this tastes kinda like the fish they serve at school. Wait, and then looked very betrayed. My son doesn't understand how existence works just yet. So when he refers to a time before he was born, he says back when I was still dead. Edit 1. He's 5. Edit 2. Okay, some of you are reasonably coming for me. Let me explain. I don't think he's dumb. I don't think he's wrong. I think it's funny. I posted it to this thread because it's a strange thing he does that makes myself feel kind of stupid. So I thought it was fitting. I have considered that maybe he's on to something. I'm a full-blown atheist. I'm young, so I have a lot to figure out. His grandparents have put Christianity in his mind, and I'm trying to figure out how to give him the option without sounding like an ass. So until we have the talk about religion, I'll hold off on asking him about his apparent past life. Also, I live in a constant state of an existential crisis. So I don't know why I said he doesn't have existence figured out. LMAO. The girl is pretty bright. The boy is only 3, but I'm getting a bit worried. He climbed up onto the kitchen table and swan dived headfirst into the linoleum floor and banged his head pretty good the other day. The worrying thing is, it wasn't the last time. He keeps doing it. Either a future swimmer or life speedrunner. Depending on how his first competition goes. Maybe both. This spawn sucks, I'm heading out. She didn't realize birds actually have legs. She was under the impression that the feet just attached to the bottom of the body. Owl's legs are particularly problematic and concern her most. She's 14. So what's her take on chicken legs, since that's a pretty common meal? She thought that, because chickens don't have nipnops and yet still have breasts, it was just a word to use and didn't refer to actual legs. Yes, she's aware of the use of the word breast to mean just muscle, but honestly I'm with you on this. I have no clues. Nipnops. Not my kids, but my little sister. Once, she cut her own hair behind our back and figured she didn't like it. So she started crying and tried to undo it using duct tape. Oh man, my daughter was annoyed at her hair in her face and proceeded to cut her bangs to the literal root. She had like spike ass bangs for months. For a moment I was worried how your daughter's ass hair became long enough to both produce bangs, and how sadistic you would be to apply some sort of hair gel to make said bangs spiky. Ass hair. OMG, I'm so lost. What you wrote? She had like spike ass bangs for months. What I read, at first. She had like spike ass bangs for months. Lol. I pictured a mohawk somehow situated on her butt. Lol. In my defense, I'm tired as fuck after spending 12 hours lifting heavy boxes at work. It's like some mild drug. OMG, I'm crying laughing. And yes, you're 100% right. My 3-year-old had a meltdown yesterday because someone ate all his sultanas. It was him. He ate all the sultanas. To be fair, I'd be sad if I ate all my sultanas. Imagine how sad you'd be if some kid ate all your sultanas. If you can be sad about a lack of sultanas, you shouldn't try cocaine. I don't think sad would be my first emotion if a kid ate all my cocaine. She used her hair to clean up the water she spilled and cried because she then got all wet. Edit to include another story. One time she was jumping on the bed and kneed herself in the face. She cried. I asked what happened. She decided to show me what happened by jumping on the bed and kneeing herself in the face again and crying. It was also her birthday. Thanks for the love, guys. Kids are dumb, but they have to get it from somewhere. Well, you can't say she wasn't using her head. Beats mopping around the house. Better than meats bopping around the house. Our 10-year-old ran the 2DS under the tap to clean it. Yes, it died. You killed the kid over that. Edit. This got more attention than expected. Thanks for the awards, kind strangers. Well, I certainly would have. No one fucks with my 2DS. When my oldest was 5, they revamped a playground in our neighborhood. One of the new pieces of equipment they put in are these spinning cup things. Basically they're a dished out seat mounted on a bearing that is slightly angled. If you sit in them, your natural attempt to balance yourself will cause it to keep spinning and usually pick up speed. They are hilarious to convince drunk people to sit on. So my oldest sees this thing and asks me to put her on it. I gave her warning. It gets pretty fast. Let me know if you want off. So I put her on it and give it a little twist. She's spinning but not crazy fast. Faster. She yells. She is a maniac on the playground, so I'm not surprised. I add a bit more spin, pushing her foot. Faster. She screams. I was like, oh hell yeah, let's do this. I whip her by the foot on the way by. At this point she is a blur on top of this thing. Faster. She screams again. At this point I was like, I legit don't understand how she would want to be going faster, and it clicked. Do you mean slower? Slower. She bellows at the top of her lungs. So I stop the thing and she half jumps / half falls out. She immediately tries to take a step and face plants into the sand and starts crying. She was mad at me for the rest of the day for not understanding that faster meant slower. When my oldest was 5, they revamped a playground in our neighborhood. Your kid is smart. When I was 5 I couldn't even swing by myself. The kid didn't revamp the playground. Someone else did. /whoosh. My 14-year-old has tried to microwave soup in the same metal bowl at least 3 times. This is the only metal bowl we have in the house, so it's not like she doesn't have many options. I say at least 3 times, because that is how many times my wife and I have stopped her. Who knows what happens when we are not home. Oh. And she is taking pre-app classes at the high school this year. My 7-year-old son had a diarrhea poop accident earlier this year. He wanted to get the poop off his underwear on his own, so he wet it in the sink to make it easier to remove, and then he held tightly to one end and whipped it in the air to fling the poop off repeatedly. By the time I grabbed a key and let myself in, because he was refusing to communicate and had been in there for ages, There were fesses sprayed all over the bathroom floor, mirror, and walls. It's a mercy none ended up on the ceiling. He looked at me. I looked at him. Our wide eyes mirrored each other's. I took a deep breath, during which I shoved down all my panic, horror, and shock, and asked him if he'd let me take care of the mess while he went to the shower in the other bathroom and cleaned himself off. He said, okay, in the meekest tone I've ever heard from him, and I spent the next hour scrubbing down every inch of that bathroom before spraying it with enough disinfectant to exorcise demons. Must have been a shitstorm, huh? I referred to it as the poop-acalypse. I just bragged to my mom one day when my middle kiddo was about 3. She was standing outside and explaining how the earth revolves around the sun. I was like, what? She's 3. Then she walked over and licked the side of the outdoor garbage can, unprompted. Brought me back down to earth. For every intelligent action by a kid, they have to do something equally stupid to maintain balance in the universe. My kid V1 made make-believe pancakes, then cried because kid V2 stole one and ate it. I had to make-believe cook more to settle them down. Kid V2 also broke Kid V1's make-believe Xbox while they were playing on a car trip. Lucky I know make-believe tech support and fixed it. You're like a make-believe jack of all trades. A flapjack of all trades. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's make-believe. My 18-year-old son came home from a friend's house and after talking to friend's mom till 2 AM said that Trump's wall has helped stop sex trafficking of kids and he might not be such a bad guy after all. I have 3 kids and he's officially the dumbest now. Edit. We're Canadian so don't worry he's not voting in your election. My son got locked out of the house and tried to pick the lock open with a plastic fork, which broke off in the lock, making it unusable. He was in high school at the time. In all fairness, I must add that his reasoning did kind of make sense to me. He must have seen it countless times on TV and in movies and figured if those idiots could do it, he could too. My other son forgot to bring a bathing suit to the beach, again, in high school, and blamed me because I didn't tell him to. They still do really stupid things now that they are in their 20s, but luckily, nothing stupid enough to get them killed or arrested, so I'm good. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Also a share would be nice too.